Hello, and welcome to another episode of CRT Sound System. We're here with episode 102, and we're talking about Valis. Here with Reese as always. Reese, how are you?
Incredible, Tom. How are you?
I'm pretty good, pretty excited to talk about some anime babes.
Yes, finally.
Finally, somebody's talking about anime babes on a podcast. We've got a returning guest, Nurvuss. Welcome back to the show. How's it going?
Oh, hey, Tom and Reese. Thank you so much for having me back to talk about something near and dear to my heart.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've your doctorate in anime babes, so I really appreciate you bringing your expertise to the pod.
It's technically an MA, but yes, I do.
We cannot call you Dr. Nervous.
It's too late.
Yeah.
I've printed a lot of mugs with Dr. Nervous
Oh, thank you very
already
much.
on
I
them.
have been thinking about contacting the Universal Life Church, so maybe those will be accurate one day.
Hopefully.
Awesome.
Yeah, so what's Valis? Tell us about it.
Valis is a series of um, very awkward platformers from Telenet. If you were a trash kid like me who did not have an NES or a Super Nintendo and instead had a Sega Genesis or, God forbid, a TurboGrafx 16, you had Valis instead of Castlevania. They were very much inspired by the OVA genre of bikini and sword, particularly the 1985 Laserdisc Aleda, The Fantastic Adventures of Yoko, which is an isekai about a schoolgirl going to another world and picking up a legendary sword and fighting evil as a bikini maiden. And that's exactly what these games are.
Yeah.
I think they are incredibly charming, perhaps not so much to play, but as it is with the best of Nihon Telenet, you come for the outstanding audio visuals and
Mm.
begrudgingly accept the gameplay.
Yeah, I think
Is that accurate?
that's a very, very fair assessment, I would say. They're games that I've always struggled with actually playing, but like I'm always just so like you say charmed by them when I'm watching them in motion. I like just watching like long plays and let's plays. I've watched you stream it a couple of times. I think I was watching you stream Valis 4 a couple of weeks ago, maybe,
Oh.
and you were really
Oh.
struggling with it, to be honest.
Yeah, like I have so many warm feelings and memories towards these games. Like I grew up with pretty much all of the ones that were released in the States. I
Mm,
played all of them around the end of March for a charity stream for the Transcontinental Pipeline, and I wasn't going to stop until I finished all four mainline games. And boy, let me tell you, that burned a lot of goodwill for me.
Yeah.
yeah, and was it the PC Engine versions that you sort of grew up on with these, or was it the Mega
I
Drive
grew up
ones,
with
or?
the Genesis and Mega Drive versions.
Oh,
I came
okay.
to the PC Engine versions much later. I think it was after I moved to the UK and I started picking up the CD-ROM versions in used game shops, and those are way meaner than the versions that I grew up with.
That's yeah, not that's not surprising to be honest. Yeah, um, yeah. I think maybe the ones that sort of came over here were probably they might have been down tuned difficulty wise.
Which it's kind of
um,
unusual with how much messing around the publishers were doing to make games harder to beat the rental market. But
yeah,
yeah.
that's true. Yeah, yeah. Like there wasn't really much of a sort of a PC Engine scene or market in Europe. So it's interesting that like you were able to even get your hands on these CD versions in the UK. I like as I recall, it was only like France and Germany that got the PC
Yeah.
Engine, or like I think it was like called the Core FX or something here. Um, so like they're incredibly rare to find games. Like you see them occasionally, and even like the crappy games are so expensive. um, and that's to say nothing of the ones that people actually want to play. I think for me it was possibly the Virtual Console where I first sort of played one of these ones. I think that was
Okay, yeah.
pretty much my first experience with the PC Engine in general was when stuff started coming out on the Virtual Console, like Nutopia and stuff like that. Because like I say, they didn't come out in Ireland for definite. Whatever about the rest of Europe, like these, I never even knew what a PC Engine was for until I started going online and reading about it basically, and then like it's always been very difficult to emulate.
It's
Like I
gotten way
said,
better. It's fine
yeah.
now.
It's basically fine now. It's on par with anything. But I do remember back in the day, like if you could even find the ROMs, even like the couple of the emulators were like behind paywalls.
You had to pay like $10 for Magic Engine, and like good luck if
Yeah.
you were a teenager who didn't have a credit card.
Exactly, yeah, and it was niches within niches. So trying to find like pirated copies or whatever of it were quite difficult to actually do. Um, so like yeah, a lot of these I was sort of aware of tangentially, but I never was able to play any sort of PC Engine stuff until they started coming out on the Virtual Console. But like immediately, the music was the thing that would stand out to me. Like the whatever it is about like the technology that went into making PC Engine CD games in particular, even though a lot of them were using like Redbook audio, like whatever sort of uh, um, like the what's the phrase, like the whatever software they were using or whatever hardware they were using to create these had a very distinct sound, like these and the East soundtracks that were on them as well.
Oh
um
yeah,
like
Ryo Yonemitsu's arrangements of the
yeah,
East soundtracks are crazy.
yeah, they're really really good. But they have a very particular sound to them, and I don't know what it is. Even like I say, even though they were using Red Book, they weren't using live instruments most of the time, like some of them would. But a lot of it was just synthesized. Like you can really hear those very particular synthesized horns in this, and they often show up in like Dragon Slayer and things like that as well.
Yeah,
Um,
I think those were Yonemitsu arrangements as well. The Dragon Slayer arrangements in particular, I'm absolutely wild about those. Those sound like
mm.
those sound like Fashion Week.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like there is something about the PC Engine sound that I think is so unique. Um, like even as compared to other CD audio, because it was the earlier days of CD audio because of like the weird hybrid nature of the PC Engine. Like not every game had CD audio, and even games that were on CD didn't necessarily have Red Book audio on them either. They could end up using the actual PC Engine sound chip, which I don't know if it was an FM synth. I don't recall exactly, but it was.
It's
It was.
not. It's I can't
Or is
remember
it?
exactly what it is off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody's screaming at me now. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
it's an OPN, you idiot, or whatever. um, but like, yeah, like but like it's that just that CD sound of these, and like some of the Mega CD games as well would have it too. But just like these really early CD games just had a very particular sound to them that I think is so appealing to me. And like listening to the Valis soundtracks was actually uh, before I started this. Before I started up the podcast, and when I was getting really back into listening to game music, it was a lot of it was like PC Engine stuff and the E soundtracks and the Dragon Slayer soundtracks and the soundtracks were sort of the ones that I kept gravitating towards for whatever
Hmm.
reason. And the Castlevania, the Rondo of Blood.
Oh, Rondo of Blood.
Yeah, like
That's an
that
all
has
timer.
yeah, and like again, it's all these very similar synths and stuff. And I remember downloading the Virtual Console version of Rondo of Blood because it was the first time you could play it outside of Japan officially. And then just like being completely blown away by the soundtrack, just that opening sound, like when it goes into uh, I can't even remember the name of the track that opens it when it has that the scene where you're chasing after death on the carriage. Like that is
Yeah,
so
yeah,
cool. It is the coolest thing, and like that combined with those sort of like the aesthetic of the 80s and 90s sort of bitmap anime style. Um, you get these like really, really detailed drawings in an anime style, but just have just all that dithering and stuff that you get from these style of games. Um, like just that sort of mix of aesthetics, it just really hits for me for some reason.
yeah. Outstanding stuff.
Yeah, and in particular with these games, like they really, really lean into the anime aesthetic. Um, and like,
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of. Sorry, go ahead.
no, absolutely, yeah, go ahead.
um, Pardon me. Valis in particular, like it started as an experiment from Wolf Team of trying to make the PC-88 scroll horizontally, which succeeded with flying colors, but was eventually, especially for the PC Engine, farmed out to Shin Nihon Lasersoft, whose stees were basically, let's make an anime in game form on 1989 hardware, for better or worse.
I mean, they managed to do it pretty good. Like was it the MSX versions that were the first ones?
You know what? It may have been. It may have been.
Yeah,
I was thinking PC-88, but it may have actually been MSX.
yeah, like
It was PC-88.
was it the PC-80? Was
Oh, it
it?
was.
And then it was ported, quote ported, remade, remastered for
Yeah,
different systems as time went on.
Because
yes,
there's a lost game. Like there's the demo that they did secretly on Telenet Time to submit to a magazine as their demo of side scrolling on that hardware, and then Telenet caught wind of it and they're like, okay, yeah, make this into a game, put a girl in a bikini in it, and such Valis was born.
Oh, that is interesting. Yeah, Telenet is a very interesting company. Like I think when we first were talking about this, when you sort of mentioned just Telenet broadly, um, like they ended up just having a lot, having their hand in a lot of different style of games, and I suppose the biggest through line through them all is just like so many of them have like really amazing soundtracks.
Yeah.
Just like looking through the list of games that they've made, like there's some Megami Tensei games, or at least that they've published, I should say. Some Megami Tensei.
They did the MSX Megami Tensei game, which is like it's an adaptation of the first light novel, but it plays like Gauntlet.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's theirs.
yeah,
I think
that's a weird
they
one.
may have published the. I don't know. I may be wrong. I think they may have published the PC Engine SMT1. But I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. Yeah, there's a big list here. Like there's a lot of stuff for microcomputers, and that first Megami Tensei one. That's the oh yeah. Yeah, just there's so many sort of weird little side avenues for Megami Tensei as well.
Yeah.
Because yeah, let me just check there. Yeah, no, that's not the one I was thinking of. No, it's actually a different game. But like even just looking here, like El Viento and Elemental Master and stuff like that are and like the Ernest Evans games, like that's those are all Wolf Team as well, aren't they?
They are, and those are
Yeah.
not Elemental Master, but El Viento and Ernest Evans are Motoi Sakuraba,
Oh yeah,
before Wolf Team became Namco Tales Studio.
yeah.
So like a bunch of talented
Yeah.
composers got their start over there. Like Tenpei Sato, who I think we'll hear today, from Nipponichi. Yeah, I mentioned Sakuraba, Michiko Naruke, who did the Wild Arms
Arms.
soundtracks.
Yeah.
Yeah. since
Did they get their
Riot.
start on this as well? Wow, okay.
Yeah, Riot ended up becoming most of the people from Riot at the Telenet team Riot made a mass exodus and became MediaVision in the mid '90s. So like we've got all these talented studios and talented people who've spun off. Like obviously Wolf Team becoming Namco Tales Studio.
Mm.
There was another one as well. I mean, there's the do-si-do between Telenet and Falcom in deciding which one is the worst place to work and which one you'd rather go to. And they seem to be like in kind of equal competition of both being pretty lousy places to work.
Yeah, it did. Anytime you read stories about it, it doesn't seem like the best. But at the same time, it was a lot of people who were just sort of who were passionate and creative and sort of just doing what they could to make things that they loved under shitty conditions.
For sure.
You know, which is like a lot of us, to be honest. But yeah, the first game, I suppose we'll talk a bit about the composers before we jump into these. So that the first track we heard was from the second game by Kenichi Kamio, but the first game, all the music is by Shinobu Ogawa.
Ogawa's an interesting guy. He was the main in-house composer at Telenet for a while, but also did a lot of like scenario design for a whole bunch of Telenet games. Like he had a big hand in Exile, as well as the Valis games. So
interesting,
really interesting trajectory with him, and he seems to have all but disappeared.
Yeah, just looking at his, it does like he's. Looking at everything there is like it's all Valis credits on his VGMDB, and then like a couple of random things like something called Made in Heaven, and something called My Sugar Baby, which I'm not googling that.
I don't know that one.
I'm
almost,
downloading mysugarbbaby.exe.
It's almost. It has to almost certainly be some sort of eroge, I'm sure, but yeah. So like he seems to just been like a guy who worked specifically for Telenet, and then God knows what happened to him after Telenet folded. But like, yeah, it's always interesting to see these people who just sort of show up as in one place and then never again. But in any case, the music was absolutely incredible for the first Valis game. So I think we'll jump into the first block of tracks with all these from the first game. So all by Shinobu Ogawa. We've got Phantasm, Flash of Sword, Lonely Soldier, The Wilderness, Cellular Tissue. It's called here ORGE Battle, but I presume it's supposed to be Ogre Battle. And then
between Ogre Battle and Made in Heaven, I think we have a Queen fan on our hands.
Perhaps, yeah. And then the last track is just called Last Battle. I'm just going to have to just go back on myself there because I've done a slander to poor My Sugar Baby. I did a bit of digging into that while we were on the break, and it looks like it's a vocal song from a golf game. A
Oh
golf game
yeah.
called Albatross 2 Masters History,
Yes.
which
I bet
is
that's a banger.
kind of funnier than if it was some sort of strange Aero game. Yeah, it's a PC 98 and MSX golf game published by Telenet. Which is interesting again, just that it was one of the only things that this guy ever actually worked on. But I guess if he was in the pocket for Telenet, then that was that. Vocals by the voice actress who does the main character of the Valis games. So that's an interesting little side note on that as well.
Sorry,
Yeah, go
sorry
ahead.
if you mentioned it in the intro, but which version of Valis are we listening to here? What? Because I know that the versions have different sound chips and are just
Yeah.
just different in its DNA level. So
Yeah,
I was curious.
the ones we're drawing from here is all from PC Engine, and then we'll have
Great.
one block later, which will have some of the other versions that are arranged by other people. But yeah, the PC Engine is sort of like much like with the Ease games, they're later versions, but they're the ones that people sort of most associate with them because they're sort of like they ended up sort of being these definitive versions of the games that play a little bit better, have better graphics, and have the beefed up music from the PC Engine's access to CD audio. And I think just maybe because they're like stuff that was on like microcomputers and stuff is just a little bit harder to access outside of Japan as well.
Sure. I mean, I have a similar history with these games as I do with Ease, where it's just like I know I rented Super Valis 4 at some point. I was like
Oh yeah.
vaguely aware of it. And one day I saw Valis in a Mega Drive a ROM set, and I was like, "Oh, I should check out this series." And I was looking at the different versions, and then sort of I got scared, and I didn't play any of them. But
That's a reasonable reaction, yeah.
yeah. But also, it sounds like the soundtracks are. I in doing my research for this, you have no idea how many comments, like the top comment in everything Valis related, is something to the tune of, "We wouldn't give these games the time of day if it wasn't for the soundtracks, which are incredible." Um,
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're greater than the sum of their parts, but the soundtracks really stick out. You can tell that Ogawa, like his Telenet colleague Sakuraba, absolutely wants to be a prog musician.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can definitely hear that, and just like overall, there's such an 80s vibe to these that is, like there's a lot of nostalgia stuff for the 80s obviously, and it's very hard to sort of pinpoint specific sounds and stuff, but like these ones just feel 80s in a way that is so specific.
Cellular
1,000%.
tissue in particular is like it's a little
Yeah.
monster. It's a little monster mash,
Yeah.
but it also sounds like it would be on the horror segment in Robot Carnival with like the Dr. Frankenstein chapter. It kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah, it definitely just
Absolutely.
has. Yeah, it's probably the least 80s in terms of the actual composition, but like
It's still super 80s though.
it's super 80s just because of the instruments being used, like the way the synths sound, like those synth voices are just they're so specific to the 80s, and I love it so much. And like it's just again, as I mentioned, the sound of the PC Engine is one of those things that sort of that keeps drawing me back to it every time. Where I'm just like this is such an intriguing and such a charming aesthetic, both and again just the audio and the visual aspects of it are just sort of come together, and and as you said, just really make it better than the sum of its parts. I was just looking through the Hardcore Gaming 101 article on the Valis as well, just on that, and like I hadn't really properly looked at the the micro PC versions visually. I hadn't really played them before, just because they're a little bit harder to actually emulate. But like the aesthetic on those is really really striking as well. It's really yeah, just sort of say looking at those, just like the way it uses color and stuff like that to on these sort of low bit rate screens, low bit rate sort of outputs on these systems, with like the resolution, like the way it sort of manages to sort of create such just a really striking visual style, with these big anime art sort of screenshots that they do is genuinely impressive to look at here. As I say, just I'll put a link to the Hardcore Gaming 101 article, because it's got a ton of screenshots. The games themselves don't look super impressive. I will say they're very colorful,
impossible to deal with.
They look like just trying to actually figure out what's happening on any given screen. It seems like an absolute nightmare.
Well, like the first one is kind of like a proto Metroidvania, where you've got these just massive fields where you have like lock and key puzzles, and they were it was very ahead of its time, but like good luck actually trying to get anywhere in it. And I don't know if that's just me not having the stick-to-itiveness, but it's a lot to deal with. And the second game is kind of a more traditional platformer, but with RPG mechanics. Some of that transferred over into SD Valis for Mega Drive, with like the leveling system and the different paper doll costumes you can wear. But it's also like it's a platformer on the PC-98 where you press the up arrow key to jump, and if you fall into a pit, that's it. Start again from the beginning. So they're a lot to deal with, but gosh, if I don't respect them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's
think
sort
they're
of like
all available on Switch now as well. Weirdly enough, like for way too much money a piece. Even the biker computer ones, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I might have to try that out. Sorry, Reese, what were you saying?
Yeah, please. Sorry.
Just that it's you got to respect the fact that platformer sort of standards had yet to be totally set in stone, and so they were. I would call these big swings in terms of trying to create their own kind of unique experience doing a PC platformer, which is not the easiest genre to do at that time. So it's sort of like I appreciate just sort of like how mean and weird they are as a wizardry fan, that I'm just sort of like, it's just like this is a game that would just beat the shit out of you and put an anime girl on the cover, and I respect it.
Yeah, that's reasonable enough, I suppose. Yeah. But I mean, like the fact that there are anime girls all over this, I think, is such a big selling point. Like not just for the pervs, but and obviously it is for the pervs. No judgment on that, but just like just aesthetically, that sort of 80s anime aesthetic to me is just like a peak aesthetic. I love it so much, and I love the way that like that gets represented on a lot of these older PC Engine and Japanese PC games like that. The bitmap anime style is one of those ones that just really appeals to me in a very visceral way. So like even if these games are absolute dog shit, looking at the cutscenes and looking at like screenshots from it will always just appeal to me. Like even like the first like Dragon Slayer as well has like the really dog shit voice acting in it and everything, but like the little anime cutscenes that they have in at the start are just like, that is just peak to me. I love it.
I know exactly what you're thinking of as an Irish person with the I think the very first character you meet is an American trying their best and doing something that's possibly offensive.
Yeah, there's it's not the worst accent I've heard in my life, but certainly like yeah. And I mean, like I know, a lot of these things are just like whoever we could find to come in, the janitor's brother is free. Can he come and record this in a broom closet? And that's certainly how a lot of these were just being made at the time, and there is a charm to that.
It's funny how they have that reputation in the West, and they're so tossed off and so laughable. And so many of these games, especially with Telnet, were like star-studded in Japan, with like reunions of like the entire cast of Fist of the North Star. Valis in particular had a load of people who were just on Lupin and Rumiko Takahashi adaptations. So like they got really big names to lend that anime quality to their games, and then just became kind of a laughing stock with with whoever was in NEC's US office at the time.
Yeah. It's tough, I suppose, because it was hard to justify spending the money on it. When you had such a niche audience, like I have to imagine the people who were buying these games in the West is sort of numbering in the thousands at most, if you were lucky. So and like obviously the market was much smaller then, which is a different story. But like you see it in 80s anime, and you see it in games that were sort of being brought over.
You definitely do. Yeah.
Like there's people who genuinely liked it. Who were trying to do good work, and then people who were like, "This is a niche that I can exploit," and trying to sort of wring the most amount of money out of it as possible. I think obviously the most famous sort of example of that being sort of people like Victor Ireland, but like without people like him, we wouldn't have a lot of these games. It's hard to say that we would even have the sort of the mainstream appeal of anime that we have today without these people who sort of we malign. It's like
he can take it.
Yeah. I mean, he managed to get out successfully, and like he's sort of held a lot of the work he designed stuff under his thumb, which is its own problem.
Still having temper tantrums, yeah.
A lot of those are sort of inaccessible on modern systems precisely because of him. Despite everything he's done, which is good, it is it's definitely become a problem as these things have become popular, and as I'm sure there are people who really want to sort of have releases of like Lunar games and stuff be accessible to everybody, and maybe even do like a nice new translation or a new voice acting and stuff. But he's just like having little tantrums and stomping his feet about it.
They did finally do this with Lunar last year, though.
Oh, they managed to do it with Lunar, did they?
Yeah, they managed to do it.
Cool.
The scripts are pretty much intact. They got new voice actors, and they took out
Interesting.
They took out like the most egregious lines that haven't aged well. But it's very akin to the experience that it was in the 90s.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I wasn't aware of that.
I guess they managed to. They managed to do something. Apparently, he's not very happy about it, but it's actually a really, really nice set. The recent Lunar 1 and 2 remastered collection.
Awesome. Who was that released under?
Gung Ho, who own Game Arts now.
Oh, I see. Okay, interesting. I'll have to track that down.
Yeah, they're good. They're better than the Suikoden remasters turned out. Strangely enough.
I was so disappointed by those. Yeah,
we did a bummer. Yeah,
we did the Suikoden episode like shortly before that came out with Abby, and yeah, it was a little bit disappointing when it came out, and it just wasn't that good because those games deserve so much better.
There was a real anticipatory feeling in that recording when it's be like, and when the remakes come out, it'll all be different. Everything's gonna change. That
wasn't even like everything's gonna change thing. It's just like it's gonna be nice when these are finally available to just sort of have, and like it is nice that they are accessible. But yeah, if you're interested in playing them, go emulate them. Yeah, certainly. But yeah, let's we'll jump into the next block of tracks. These are all going to be from Valis 2. This is probably the one I'm least familiar with. I think probably like 4 is the one I've played the most, I would say, of the 3 of them. But Valis 2, soundtrack by Kenichi Kamio. A few more sort of more recognizable credits on this guy. Phalanx is probably the one that jumps out to me most. The other one being something called Street Fighter 2 Chun-Li Flying Legend, which, as near as I can tell, is some some sort of image album.
Okay.
Yeah, like got some dramas and image songs and stuff like that. And then the last track on that album says Chun-Li teaches strategies for Street Fighter 2. It seems to be released in conjunction with the Super Famicom version of the game. Despite sort of going into a lot of Street Fighter stuff, I've never seen this before today, so that'll probably tell you about how popular that was. But yeah, all of these tracks by Kenichi Kamio, and let's pull up the list here. So I have Act 2, Act 3, Act 4, Act 5, and Act 6. Then Boss, and then Megas, which I believe is just the final boss theme.
Yeah, yeah.
One thing I'll say about that soundtrack is not quite as good as the first one,
I think it's really bad.
I it's interesting. It's like I like some of the tracks, but it definitely doesn't have the same kind of. It's maybe trying to be a bit more ambitious, but failing in a way where like the first game sort of knows what it is, what it wants to be, and is sort of really hitting it. This one is sort of like it's trying to be a little bit more orchestral, and it doesn't quite get there.
Well,
um,
technically, this is the first PC Engine one. The one that we listened to before, Valis 1, that was the last one released.
oh, interesting.
Um,
Okay.
so this is their first attempt to bring Valis to CD-ROM,
Okay.
and I think it's the first one that had this. I think it's the only one that had this composer as well.
Yeah. 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 Valis 2 is the only one, and then like some remakes listed, but that's it. Yeah. Yeah. As I say, I think there's notions to this one that it's trying to be a little bit more than it is. Like there's sort of I don't know. It doesn't do it for me in the same way as the first and the third and the fourth do, sadly. But
There's like kind of a sense of bombast that is
yeah,
undercut immediately by the MIDI instruments.
yeah, it's really MIDI in a way that the others aren't. Yeah, it's like it's very default MIDI, I guess, is the way I put it. Like um yeah, like there's some good composition, and like there's some nice little melodies and stuff in it, but it doesn't come together. And I hate to talk shit on music on this podcast, but like I genuinely only included it for completion's sake.
This does stand in stark contrast to the rest of the series, and I think that on
Yeah.
its own makes it interesting.
Yeah, it's worth discussing in that context for sure.
This is so funny. I was listening. I did some prep, but I didn't listen to this one's soundtrack. And so we were listening to it. I was like, I don't like this one as much. Can I say that? Am I allowed to say I don't like a track on the? It's not like I don't dislike it. I do agree with the bombast, and I think it's interesting. But like compared to the other stuff I've heard, which is just like transcendent beat boops from heaven, just
Yeah.
sort of like it's not reaching the same heights.
Yeah.
Sorry to the composer of
Yeah, sorry,
Valis
Kenichi
2.
Kamio, you didn't do it for us today. But yeah, I was going to ask. So when you did the playthrough of all the games, did you do all the different versions, or did you just like pick a?
I did just the PC Engine, the tetralogy.
Yeah.
I'm way more familiar with the Mega Drive versions. This was actually my first time playing Valis 2, so it was kind of like a
Okay.
holy grail for me. It was like, oh, I finally get to play the CD-ROM Valis 2. And boom. I was expecting at least the music to be good, and I was sorely disappointed there.
Yeah.
For a long time,
Yeah.
like I always hated SD Valis or Sid of Valis, but after playing every version of Valis 2, I think that might be secretly the best version, and I kind of like it now.
Is that one a remake of 2 as well, or?
Yeah, that was the
Okay.
Genesis port of 2, which was
Yeah.
handled by the very obscure developer ISC, and gave everybody SD cutesy aesthetics.
That was a thing at the time. There was a lot of like SD games. There was like the SD Gundam games. I remember even even those would like show up in magazines in the UK. Like you'd get screenshots of them, and like the whole super deformed craze. I don't know. It was yeah, it kind of went away after a while. I don't think you really see it anymore, sadly. But like, it was definitely a thing at the time where like, in order, like, I don't know, like, was it a way to get around certain things or what? But it was like, it was certainly.
I didn't really see it as perhaps like trying to do something untoward. Maybe that's me being a little bit too innocent, but I always just thought it was kind of cute. I mean, you got
Yeah.
your SD Snatcher.
SD Snatcher, that was the other one I was trying to
Yeah,
think of. Yeah.
that's a special one. But like a lot of the manuals, and I mean, even the Valis manuals that weren't SD would have SD caricatures of the major players in each of them. So yeah, I
Yeah.
guess it was just it kind of went the way as the rest of these aesthetics of like big eyes and even bigger hair. You know, you
Yeah.
mentioned the very 80s style, and I guess SD was like another pillar of that we don't really get so much anymore. I guess
Yeah.
like, you know, we have Chibi, it's slightly
Chibi is, I
different.
guess, the
Yeah.
modern equivalent to
Yeah.
to the SD. But yeah, just like it was weird because it was a thing that because of the way I experienced anime, just sort of as a tertiary thing that I would see in, like, people would mention it in reviews for games and stuff like that. And like I'd see like import reviews of SD Gundam or other super deformed games, and I was just like, that to me for a while was anime. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, all anime just looks like this. That's it. And then like later on discovering like quote unquote real anime, and then being like, oh, this is just like a sub style of it, and but like it was very much just a thing specific to the 90s for whatever reason. I'm not too sure where it came from or where it went, but yeah, definitely a thing.
Yeah, definitely a clipped family tree branch for either Chibi or Moe
Yeah, I
of
guess it kind of
later.
did become Moe, didn't it? And I feel like that's maybe a little bit more untoward.
Mm.
Yeah, but the SD doesn't look untoward, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, you know, we'll still bury it in a child's grave.
Yeah,
Um,
Yeah, it'll get it gets a pass. Um, yeah,
you just had
so
me remembering how for a long time I didn't use the term anime because I thought it was incorrect. I was like, no, it's actually called Japanimation. That's what PBS calls it. So
the magazines really ruined us in the 90s, didn't they?
yeah.
yeah, yeah, the Japanimation, or even just calling it Japanime as well, was just a thing. Yeah. Um, yeah, so we'll start up talking about the third and fourth soundtracks, which are both done by Shingo Murakami. Um, so I couldn't find out a lot about him. There is a person called Shingo Murakami who appears to be somebody of note as a musician outside of games.
Not to be
I'm
confused
not
with
sure
the
if it's
pop idol.
yeah, I'm not sure if it's the same person.
It is most definitely not. I think he's our age, so he would have been 4 years old doing the music
Okay.
for Valis.
Yeah, because I'm looking at pictures of him, like he seems quite young. So it's just
Yeah.
The baby composer of Valis 3 is really
yeah.
where I need this to go.
We
Yeah,
got
and
an SD composer as well.
yeah, so not a lot of credits his on the VGMDB page. Mostly just Valis soundtracks. Carnage Heart is the other one that jumps out to me. That
Carnage Heart, Jesus Christ.
yeah, which is
Inscrutable game.
yeah. Those were Mega CD games, were they? There's a bunch of them as I recall, but
I think he might have done some Cosmic Fantasy work as well.
yeah, looking just
Another Nihon Laser Soft jobber.
yeah, and appears to have worked at Art Dink.
Well, that'd be the Carnage Heart then.
Yeah, so that's your Carnage Heart, and what else did they Art Dink do? They have a bunch of
Art Dink have kind of been making a comeback. Like they most recently did Triangle Strategy and the Dragon Quest
that
III
was
remake, but they're most
yeah.
well known for their completely insane simulators like Aquanauts Holiday, No Tom of the Wind,
No Time of the Wind, yeah.
famously A Train is the big Art Dink
A Train,
franchise.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there. We'll do I really want to do a No Time of Wind episode at some point. Just the
game's so
music for
good.
that is that like I've never played the game, but like just the aesthetic of that of the cover and the music and everything is just like is it Hiroshi Nagai, the guy that does all those
Yes,
sort
yes,
of
it is.
yeah, the sort of like if you've seen like city pop artwork, he's the guy that does all the city pop artwork basically. Like possibly no artist more associated with that sort of movement than him at this point. Um, like yeah, that's a whole other sort of sidetrack for sure. But I definitely want to cover Kaze no Notam at some point because it is really fascinating as just a concept, and I do love those sort of weird little simulator games that were around on the PC. Like very early on, we did the episodes on the Aerobiz games.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and like just all those weird little simulators, train simulators of various types and things like that that we never really got outside of Japan, but are just sort of really fascinating to dig into. I'll definitely want to do something on that at some point in the future. But I digress.
Just a
Sorry,
quick
Reese.
aside before the digression ends. Dungeon Chill has a very cool Art Dink retrospective
Oh,
that sort
nice.
of like it settles on exploring. Like the first half is an Art Dink retrospective, and then he looks at the Aquanaut Holidays games, and he speaks Japanese, and so has sort of like an insight in replaying those games. Then I think that is very interesting and should be checked out.
Very cool. Yeah. All right, I think we'll jump into the Valis 3 soundtrack, and so I have
That's my favorite
uh,
one.
yeah, this is a really good one. So all by Shingo Murakami. We have Game 1, Game 3, Game 4, Game 6, and Game 7. I'm assuming that's just stage, and it's just been weirdly translated.
Thank you for
It's
taking care and naming your songs, Telenet.
yeah, it is odd because like they all have sort of different names for the action stages in how they're named in the track lists. So they're not consistent for whatever reason, but there you have it. So yeah, game 1, 3, 4, 6, and 7, and then boss. That is much more like it.
Unparalleled. I was bopping here in my chair, posting Final Fantasy dance gifs. I'm having a great time.
You can absolutely envision Murakami just going absolutely berserk on his keyboard.
Yeah, like there's so much more going on in those, like not just in terms of like the energy, but just like just the different sounds that he's using. Like the first track has like a lot of really cool little just like little descending what are they called, like I don't want to say glissandos, but like there's these descending scales in them that are just like they sound so good. Like they really just make you feel like you're progressing through a stage, and just like it gives the action such an energy and such a movement to it when you're playing the game, or even if you're just like watching some poor man struggle through it, or watching a long play or something like that. Like there's just there is such an energy to the soundtrack that really gives it a lot of momentum.
That one's heard in the first stage where like Yuko's running across Tokyo rooftops at night, and it's so evocative of that. This really desperate and passionate theme. Like you can hear the passion in the performer, and it just comes across so well for that stage.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, just overall, just the soundtrack just is such a massive improvement, and like just even just like in the types of instruments being used and everything like that, it really gives it such a distinct sound. Like the visual, or sorry, the audio sort of landscape of the game is so much cooler, and it does sort of add to the whole aesthetic in such a massive way. I really just sort of love this soundtrack, listening to it. Like when I was just sort of putting the playlist together, it was this one and 4 that really were the ones where I was just like, yeah, this is the shit. This is what I want to be doing.
I mean, like, I'll say up front that, like, this is me making assumptions, and it's probably me not being very fair, but with the Valis 2 soundtrack, it sounds like somebody got the brief of make a soundtrack for a game about a warrior maiden, and just took that as the assignment. Whereas the Valis 3 soundtrack, composer went absolutely nuts and just relished every second of it.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
felt
like,
maybe a little bit more daring in what they were doing.
yeah. Were these would 3 would have been one of the first ones, so that was made with the PC Engine in mind at that point? Would you say, or
Yeah,
was it? Yeah,
I think the PC Engine version came out slightly before the Mega Drive version, but they were
yeah,
pretty close.
yeah. But these weren't designed first for like for
3
micro
didn't get a
PCs or anything.
microcomputer, yeah.
Yeah, so like you've got this sort of like everything being sort of, being made with everything in mind for this particular system. Probably gives it a lot of like, as a composer, then that gives you a lot of leeway then, because you get to see the visual style of everything sort of before or during your composition process. Like you get I don't want to just be shitting on the guy who did the previous game, but like he was clearly given a bit of a jobber's role to it.
I feel like, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas with this, it does feel like there was a little bit more intent behind like how the music sort of was designed to match the action. Like you can just really feel it just in terms of the rhythm of how the game plays versus that music. Like it's almost like when you're running, like the beat matches it.
Yeah.
It always just has that same energy. It's really cool. The 3 and 4, I think, are the ones that I probably played the most, as I mentioned, and they're the ones that I would say probably are the best games. I'm not sure if that's something you'd agree with, but for me, that when I want to play these games, if I'm interested in it, these are the ones that I sort of would be more inclined to pick up a controller and play.
3 is my favorite. The PC Engine version of 3 does some absolute bullshit that the Mega Drive version doesn't. So Mega Drive version of 3 is my favorite. 4 is a lot to deal with. I think it is technically proficient, and it's good. Me personally, I'm Valis 3 and the 16-bit remakes of Valis
Yeah.
1.
Well, I suppose when I say 4, I should probably mention it's the Super Nintendo version that I'm talking about. Which I'm not sure is that an entirely different game. It is. I know from
It's
like the opening stages of both, it does seem like it's
the
pretty
best
different.
comparison would be like, you know, there's Dracula X on Super Nintendo to Rondo of Blood, and Super Valis 4 is very much kind of like the cut down version of PC Engine Valis 4. I was desperate to finally play Valis 4, and boy is that game full of absolutely sadistic blind jumps.
Is that the one with the weird floating head boss?
Yes.
Yeah,
That is also the one where you have 3 characters who you have to switch through constantly, because one is a good attacker, one has a double jump. The game will eat your inputs almost all the time. You will fall into a pit, and one character can walk over spikes, and it is asking you to switch between the 3 of them constantly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I do recall that being an absolute nuisance for sure.
It is a nightmare. I can't. I did, but I can't ever again.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough, but yeah, I think there's a part of it is just like that's how games were at the time, and a part of it is these games are a little bit jank. Because I suppose there's an element to which like these were not necessarily made just to be good games. They were sort of they were like, we want to sell you hot anime babes, and that they did. It was like the primary selling point was probably the hot anime babes more than the actual gameplay for a lot of people.
Which is why I heard about them.
Yeah, entirely reasonable. Yeah, just certainly a fact of their creation, I would say. But yeah,
this is the era too, as we've talked ad nauseum about, sort of like pre-anime awareness. To the anime babes had a mystery to them, like in Phantasy Star, where you're just like, oh, these babes have a quality I have not consumed before. This is powerful to me.
Yeah.
And it almost seems like a punchline to a joke, where you get the anime thing, and it is, I was gonna say, sucks shit. That's unfair, but it's not what you expected, not what you hoped.
I don't know if I go suck shit, but yeah, it you have a point.
Apologies to Valis, to Jane Valis out there for.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll jump into the next block of tracks here. All of these are from Valis 4. Again, music by Shingo Murakami, and some tracks. Hold on, let me pull up the notes I had here. No, I've lost it. It says here some of these tracks were also done by in conjunction with Junta, who did the SD Valis soundtrack on the Genesis. So I'm not sure if that's because they sort of reused tracks between the two. Or
I don't think they would have.
I don't think they would have either. As near as I could tell, there was nothing reused. But he's credited on the not on VGMDB, but on the video game music, the VGM wiki. So
SD Valis is a deeply mysterious and confusing game. I've got no idea who worked on that, and the in-game credits don't really provide any answers.
Yeah, it's one of those things again where we always struggle to find out exactly who has done work on some of these soundtracks, just because they deliberately made it difficult to find it. So yeah, let me pull up my notes here again. Yeah, so we've got Action 1, Action 2, Action 5, and Action 7, and then Boss. So all of these from Valis 4. fantastic stuff. Yeah, just again, just such a banger soundtrack. The first tracks, the first three tracks as well, in particular, just when I was listening through them like during the week, just sort of getting my bearings for the soundtrack, the thing that kept jumping out to me is like this really sounds like a lot of like world music, and by which I mean like Peter Gabriel style stuff from the
Yes, it
80s.
does. Yeah.
And like the late 80s Talking Heads albums as well, which I think a lot of like there's probably a lot of crossover, like whatever synths they're using, or I don't know what it is exactly about it, but like there's the pan flutes in stage 5, and then yeah, just the violins in action stage 1. Like there's just there's something about those synths and those sounds that just really reminds me of that style of 80s music in particular.
Yeah, that's a really good observation. I really like the soundtrack as well. I think the boss theme is a lot weaker than Valis 3's. It kind of
Mm,
sounds like generic boss music, in contrast with the rest of the more well, experimental is not quite the right word, but the further reaching vibes of the rest of the songs we heard in the Valis 4 soundtrack, if you know what I mean.
for sure, yeah.
I agree that there's a unique quality to most of the music from Valis 4 that I've heard that the boss music does not share, for
Yeah,
sure.
it's good to be sure, but it's definitely just got like
Yeah.
a quite a generic sort of heavy rock sound to it that it doesn't quite have the same identity.
Yeah.
So like and that's fine for boss music as well. Like sometimes you just need to have a rock and boss theme and have that be that, and like that's cool. But certainly like just by comparison to everything else around it, it does suffer for sure. Um, and I suppose as a game as well, would you say that that's sort of the way that Valis 4 is? Because I think you sort of mentioned it, that sort of like the stages were a bit better than the bosses, in terms of actually what you're doing.
The bosses get pretty unbearable. I mean, I would even say the stages get pretty unbearable by the end.
Yeah,
It's really asking a lot of the player. It is definitely a hey, do you want some more of this? Do you want some really sadistic platforming? And it's got that in spades. I still think it's
yeah.
worth a look. I'm still very fond of it, at least from an audiovisual standpoint.
Yeah, no, it's just I'm sort of have a long play on in the background here, and like, good God, that game looks amazing, and yeah,
It's
just
really beautiful for sure.
yeah, like the animations and just like the backgrounds, and like one thing that always stands out to me is some games from this era as well, is like the really good parallax scrolling on some of them is just like I love a good bit of parallax scrolling.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
The PC Engine wasn't exactly good at that either, so that was kind of a miracle that they got that looking so smooth as well.
yeah,
Like compare Valis 4's parallax to East 3's,
yeah.
and it's like night and day.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, so we'll jump in fairly quickly to the next block of tracks, I reckon,
But
because
before we jump into the next block of tracks, I'm so sorry
go ahead, yeah.
for such a frivolous observation. But Medius looks fucking incredible. Just this guy in an incredibly well designed, I think, suit of armor that's very fun, riding a tiger. Like, I'm sorry, that rocks. I am being spiritually healed. That's it, that's all I had to say. Thank you.
There's a lot of cool guys and armors in these games, for sure.
Well, it also like the third character that they give you is like the single male playable character in Valis, who's like he's basically a final boss of one of the other games. This like big pauldroned biomechanical man. So that's a real treat.
Oh,
That's brilliant.
I'm
Brilliant.
getting word. We're getting word that Midius is a lady knight. So I'm pogging.
Oh hell yeah!
Excellent. um, But yeah, we've just got one quick last block, which is just a bunch of tracks from the Mega Drive, Super Nintendo, and the Japanese PC versions. We sort of alluded to all of them before, but I suppose it is worth mentioning. Just I've got tracks from the X68000 version and the PC88 version of Valis 2. Because they're not the same tracks. They're much. I think they're they're Shinobu Ogawa and then Tenpei Sato and Masahiro Kajihara. So Tenpei Sato we've mentioned as being the guy who ended up doing a lot of stuff for Nippon Ichi Software.
He does all the Disgaea
The
games.
Disgaea soundtracks, which we've covered one before, and Phantom Brave and a couple of others. Has a very distinct style that you don't quite get in this soundtrack. It's like this is probably one of his first, if not earliest, if not first, I suppose, actual soundtracks that he's worked on. I'm not familiar with Masahiro Kajihara, sorry. Again, very difficult to find specific credits for a lot of these people. But it seems to be pretty
not familiar
active.
with him either.
Yeah, nothing jumping out to me that I'm very familiar with. Trigger Hard Excelica is probably the one game looking at the list here that I'm like, oh, that's a game that I've played and I'm familiar with the soundtrack on. Everything else is like Princess Maker.
A latter day Princess Maker guy.
Yeah, so again, just like somebody who sort of started off here presumably just as a job and then managed to branch out from there.
He did Virgin Dream. Take a guess what that game is.
I'm not familiar with that game, but I can probably take a couple of a good stab at that.
It's what it sounds like.
Yeah, the game about pina coladas.
About Virgin pina coladas for sure. So the PC88 and the Sharp X68000 are fairly similar sound chips. Like there's not a huge difference between them, but I do like to sort of include one from each where I can in these cases, just because it is interesting to hear the differences, even if they're not like massively different. But like for Valis 2, definitely these are the better soundtracks. The other one then we mentioned was the pull up my notes again, the Mega Drive version and the Super Nintendo version. So the Mega Drive was the SD. That's the soundtrack that I pulled it from. So that is by Junta. And then Michio Fujisawa did the SD Genesis version. So again, not a lot of information about whoever Junta is. I'm assuming that that's a pseudonym of some sort.
Gotta be right.
Because the only soundtracks listed are are the Valis soundtracks. There's nothing else, no other information about him or them, but other than, as I say, that other page that I could find on the VGMPF sound that says that they did work on the Valis 4 soundtrack. Again, no corroborating info on that whatsoever. So I just have to take a random wiki table on a wiki page for its word, and then let me see, the Michio Fujisawa. A bit more Falcom stuff on that, from what I can see. Perfect Collection E's, some music director for those.
Interesting.
Yeah, so not an actual composer on a lot of stuff, but I can see here does some arrangements and some performance, but very little actual composition. But yeah, so the East 1 and 2 soundtracks and a lot of Valis, Recollection of E. So yeah, just a bunch of arrangements and a bunch of different soundtracks that were worked on. Again, it's really difficult to find out specific information here, but a name that appears to definitely have been involved in the sort of in this era of video game music, just sort of generally, even if not as a specifically known name. And we've talked about it before when we talk about the East soundtracks. Falcom were notorious for just not crediting people.
To this day, they're still really nasty about it.
Yeah. So names all over these, but very difficult to actually say what they actually did on this soundtrack. But certainly seems to be somebody who was in and around. Sorcerian as well. That's another good one.
Did he do like the PC Engine Sorcerian?
Just on a very best of Sorcerian music works, just as an arranger is credited.
Right. I think the earliest Sorcerian might have been like a very young Yuzo Koshiro.
It's entirely possible. I think that's one of the ones that he would have been. Yeah, would have been around for that. Yeah, that's getting into Falcom stuff is always a bit of a tricky. It's a bit of a minefield. So yeah, we'll jump into this block of tracks just because it's the last one, and I think we're getting a bit long on this episode. So we've got from Valis 2 on the X68000 Pearlmont Wink. From Valis 2 on the PC-88 we have Pearlmont Wink, and then Constellation of Mirage from the PC-88 version. Then from Super Valis 4 on the SNES we have Act 6 Red Moon. Then from SD Valis we have Stage 2, Stage 4, and Last Boss. something very triumphant about that last one. um, yeah, it's a fun that's a really fun soundtrack. Again, it has such a such a distinct Genesis vibe to it as well. Um, Golden Axe is probably the one that's around like, oh, this really sounds like a lot like the Golden Axe soundtracks,
That's a pretty
particular to
close
me.
comparison.
Yeah.
I only using the FM side of the Yamaha 2612, it's a little bit much. It's a little bit ear-searing for me personally.
A
It's not
little
my
bit,
favorite by
yeah.
far.
Yeah, but it definitely has, yeah, it definitely has that particular sound to it. It was the same with the Super Nintendo track we heard as well. It's just like the very particular OR kit that you get off the Super Nintendo sound chip.
Yeah.
It's the same one that you get in Mario Paint when you do the Yoshi sounds. Yeah, I don't know what that is, but it is just part of that sound chip for whatever reason. I guess it's part of the default sound library or something like that. But you can hear that all over Super Nintendo soundtracks. But yeah, like again, just like a nice little spread of tracks. I think probably the highlights there would have been the PC-88 and or sorry, the PC versions of Valis 2. Like those sound that soundtrack is very, very good, and sort of definitely more in line with what you'd expect from hearing the first game for sure.
Oh, I'm crazy about that, about the microcomputer Valis 2 soundtrack. I mean, Pearlmont Wink, along with Flash of Sword from Valis 1. I mean, those two are kind of like they just occupy the theme of Valis in my head.
Yeah, they definitely have like that very sort of like, yeah, very heroic sound to it, I guess.
80s girl rushing into battle.
Yeah, exactly. Like bikini babes rushing into battles with swords. Yeah, you'd love to see it.
I do.
But yeah,
I do.
yeah. Any final thoughts on this before we finish up?
Personally, I just, I am not a big Valis knower, but I appreciate the sort of like when a game like this has sort of like a diversity of releases that we could kind of compare and contrast to. And this being somewhat divorced from the game itself, I'm really trying not to trash it. I respect these kind of like older games that have that modern players don't have the temperament for a lot. It's just modern players, of which I'm one, don't have the temperament for them, and it's just cool to be able to kind of like have this wonderful list of songs that you put together, Tom, and be able to kind of just enjoy the spread. And that's my takeaway from this particular episode, other than just really enjoying Nurvuss's presence.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Oh no, thank you for having me back. It's been a joy. I mean, I adore these games, even if I don't necessarily love playing them. I pretty much love all Telnet games, especially how they look and sound. We've had a really good selection of quite varied styles tonight. So so that's really fun as well.
Yeah, it's definitely good to just like we said, like the when you get to this era of games, just being able to sort of pick and choose from like different versions. Oftentimes like different versions of games that were just had nothing to do with each other, but had shared the same name, or even games that were like supposed to be remakes of other games, which just had nothing to do with each other. The Super Nintendo version of a game having a completely different soundtrack and a completely different like stage layout and everything to the Genesis version. Just like it's always fun when we can go back to these games and sort of like pick and choose from them to sort of just get an idea of the different sort of what the different systems were offering to people and how different companies were sort of taking advantage of that. Sometimes to good results and sometimes to less good results.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you again so much for coming on, Nurvuss. If you'd like to plug anything, your fine stream or anything like that, now is the place to do it. And I'll be including any links as well, obviously, in the show notes.
Sure thing. I mean, you can find me on Blue Sky and on YouTube at Nurvuss. I'm very slow to make things. Can I plug my friend's project that just came
Yes,
out?
absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
My friend Kargadin, just like holy grail of PlayStation 1 fan translations. She, along with Hilltop, just released the fan patch for Kowloon's Gate.
Oh
Um,
shit. Okay. Yeah.
a
Wow.
legendary cyberpunk weird adventure game that people thought it was never going to happen.
Mm.
They've been working on this for 5 years. I contributed a tiny bit of editing. Please check it out. It's a total labor of love. It's
Awesome.
not the kind of thing that Sony would publish in Year of Our Lord 2026, but God help them, they did in 1997. And it's definitely worth playing.
Yeah, I feel like we were talking about that in the Discord. In fact, when because I can see I've retweeted or re blue skied or re skeeted or whatever we're calling it these days.
Reposted.
The
It's
original
reposted.
reposted. No, I said posting. No, we don't do posting anymore.
No. No.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll put a link to that in the show notes for sure because yeah, that is such a cool and interesting project. That was a game again, just that you'd see on like Dungeon Chill or any of these channels where
Yeah,
people would be
yeah.
just like talking about spooky PS1 games or whatever. So like,
It
um,
it seems so cool and so inscrutable. So just like massive kudos to your friend.
yeah,
Thank you for
Get in
sharing
absolutely.
that.
there. I mean, they've included like a full translation notes and a walkthrough as well. So like,
Oh,
Excellent,
don't be too intimidated. Just get in
yes.
there and get in
excellent.
there the best you can if you're
Yeah, just
interested.
just just get it. Just go enter the Kowloon's Gate.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, so that was okay. Actually, so we've recording this on the 14th, and it just came out like yeah, 4 or 5 days ago at this point. So yeah.
Yeah, I think on the 9th.
Yeah, so that's cool. Yeah, I'll definitely put up a link in that in the show notes. Yeah, so Reese, I'm assuming your standard plugs
Uh,
are in effect.
yes, and I'd like to plug my friend's YouTube channel. Nurvuss puts together some really good videos. I really enjoyed
Come on now.
the Dead of the Brain retrospective. The Game of the Year 2025 is interesting. I haven't watched your latest Near one, but I'm gonna rectify that today.
Thank you very much. Very
Do
kind of
you
you.
have your Valis runs on your YouTube channel?
Oh, no, I don't. I don't know if Twitch archives things anymore. I
Oh,
got a
okay.
message from Twitch saying that like, hey, the we're not going to hold your stuff anymore. So I don't know.
Oh,
You might be able to see it, you might not. Just know that I raised a whole bunch of money for Transcontinental Pipeline, and that's what really matters. So thank you,
yeah.
Valis, for helping do
Yeah,
that.
no, yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, shout out to Valis for that for sure. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So we've just we'll go out with this last track, which is just another track from the Super Nintendo version, called Act Two Vanity Castle. Yeah. I'll. Yeah, if you want to follow us, we can be found on Blue Sky or CRT Sound System. You can support us on Patreon if you want to give us some money. I've got another bonus episode that I've got to put out at some point. Reese needs to be poking me more to do those, but we'll do more bonus episodes hopefully soon. I've got a bunch planned that I just need to get around to actually doing. And yeah, follow us on Blue Sky. Go follow us on YouTube. We've got all the episodes going up on YouTube as well. And yeah, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you for joining us, Nurvuss. Thank you as always, Reese. And we'll go out with this last track.